Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
Today, we're going to continue talking about bipolar disorder, and we want to understand the unpredictable. We just don't know what's going to happen with these people. Are they going to be high? Are they going to be low? And last time, of course, we had an account by someone who suffers from bipolar disorder. And this person was describing the manic episodes and the depressive episodes when this person feels really happy, and then later on, this person feels really sad.
And today we're going to focus more on a general discussion of bipolar disorder rather than someone's personal experience. But it's always good to actually hear from someone who has a particular disorder. Helps you understand better from a personalized point of view what it feels like or what they're going through. Today, we're going to talk more about how you can handle this, and I think it's a great lesson for those of us who have somebody in our lives with bipolar disorder to know how to best support that person and bring some stability into their lives. Again, it's kind of unpredictable, and that's a hard part of this particular disorder. Let's go ahead, guys, as we always do, and read through day 2. Bipolar disorder, a mental health condition characterized by extreme mood swings, goes beyond ordinary emotional ups and downs. These mood shifts are so intense that they can interfere with an individual's ability to carry out daily activities. The precise causes of bipolar disorder aren't completely understood, but genetics and environmental stress are believed to play a role. Bipolar disorder is often confused with depression because of similar symptoms, but the presence of manic episodes helps distinguish between the two. Handling social life with bipolar disorder can be a unique challenge that's often compounded by prejudices and misunderstandings concerning mental health. During manic phases, an individual may come across as overly lively or enthusiastic and give the impression of being out of control or prone to sudden changes, which can lead to strained relationships or other career issues. On the flip side, depressive episodes can be misinterpreted as a lack of will, which can invite unfair judgment and social isolation. The unpredictable rhythm of mood shifts also presents difficulties in planning life events or maintaining regular commitments, which makes social adaptation a complicated task. If you want to help someone with bipolar disorder, it's important to approach the situation with an open mind, patience, and empathy. Take the initiative to learn about the disorder to better comprehend their experiences. Be there to provide emotional support, foster open dialogue, and assist in managing their health by encouraging compliance with regular routines and treatment plans. Your understanding and reassurance can help sufferers feel less isolated. Remember, people with bipolar disorder can lead meaningful lives, and each small act of support can make a significant impact. Okay, guys, let's dive in. Day 2, as we told you, day 1 was hearing from somebody who has personally experienced it. I don't think it's something you can ever really overcome. Usually, you're dealing with it your entire lives. But there are lots of things you can do to kind of even out those emotions that feel like you're on a roller coaster. So, bipolar disorder is a mental health condition characterized by extreme mood swings. As we mentioned in day 1, everybody has mood swings, especially teenagers. Your hormones are changing, you're growing up, everything's different, and it's hard to deal with that. But those are the mood swings that most teenagers feel. Unfortunately, bipolar disorder continues throughout an adult's life. So if something's characterized by something, it just means these are some of the symptoms or some of the things that you might see or experience if you have something. So it goes beyond just, oh, I'm so happy today. Next day, oh, life sucks. No, they're really extreme mood swings, and it goes beyond just ordinary emotional ups and downs. Life is full of ups and downs for everybody, and it doesn't matter if you're the prettiest or the ugliest person or the most healthy person or the most unhealthy person. Everyone has challenges in this life, and just because you have money or looks doesn't mean your life is easy. Sometimes it's even worse.
Now, this sentence is basically saying bipolar disorder goes beyond ordinary emotional ups and downs. In the middle, of course, we have a clause that tells us what bipolar disorder is. Bipolar disorder, what's that? Well, it's a mental health condition that has these mood swings, and bipolar disorder goes beyond ordinary ups and downs. Yeah, it's more than that. These mood shifts are so intense that they can interfere with an individual's ability to carry out daily activities. So if something's intense, it is extreme. And lots of us, of course, have mood swings, but people with bipolar disorder have them in the extreme, and they're very intense. And because they're so intense, they can interfere with an individual's daily life. So to interfere with something means it kind of gets in the way. It's a distraction. You can't concentrate. You can't get things done that you normally can because you have to deal with this problem. And yes, if you have a really low depressive state, yeah, that can make your functionality go really low. You're not going to be very helpful at the office. You're going to cause problems with your family. So yeah, it interferes with your life in many different ways.
I wanted to mention before we moved on, they will often describe people as being moody. Have you heard that before? If someone's moody, if you have a friend who's moody, it means their moods change quite a bit. I like to find people who are pretty easygoing. It's easier to have a friendship with someone who's not so moody. But I do have experience with moody people in my life too, and they can be great. So we use that to describe just normal ups and downs of life. He's in a bad mood today, or Mom's in a bad mood, better be good today, or the boss is in a horrible mood, stay away. But this is something that they go through where those mood shifts are really intense. And as Tom said, they can really be disruptive to their daily lives. They can be very unproductive if they're in one of those depressive states, or they might just not want to interact with life at all. They want to just stay home, stay in bed. The precise causes, what causes this stuff of bipolar disorder, aren't completely understood. It's something to do with our brains, guys. So it's very difficult for even really good scientists to figure out what's going on in our brain. We do make progress every year with what we understand the brain is doing, but there's so much we don't understand.
Right, so it involves genetics, which is our genes, and also it may involve environmental stress, how stressful your job is, or your family background, or whatever.
Or if you've been poisoned by something in your environment, like mercury, lead, other things, it can actually lead to something like this, so be careful.
It could indeed lead to that, so be careful again. And bipolar disorder is often confused with depression because of similar symptoms, but the presence of manic episodes helps distinguish between the two. So a lot of people who have bipolar disorder might be considered as someone who is depressed by other people because, when they're in that down state of mind, they do look depressed indeed. But if you have the presence of these manic episodes, then you can probably tell that this person is suffering from bipolar disorder. It helps distinguish between the two. To distinguish here means to tell one thing from another. So yes, if you have these two conditions, you can tell the difference between bipolar disorder and depression.
And if someone is severely depressed, we'll often use that word at the beginning. We'll say they have clinical depression, which means it's something they can't really control. Some of us, if we are feeling blue or we're feeling kind of depressed, some of us will go out with friends and it picks up our spirits, it lifts our spirits, or, we feel better the next day. Clinically depressed people, can't just go and, participate in a hobby and feel great. It's more complicated than that. So, yeah, but this does help to know whether it's depression or bipolar disorder. If you're depressed or you have clinical depression, you don't have manic episodes. You never have those feelings of high. I often wondered maybe if we had a comedian named Robin Williams who was often very manic on stage. He could his mind was crazy fast and funny, and then he would get very depressed. And I just thought, I wonder if he had bipolar disorder. We never really talked about it when he was alive. He unfortunately took his own life several years ago, which is sad. So moving on to the next paragraph, handling social life, just hanging out with people, being with your friends and family. If you have this bipolar disorder, it can be a unique challenge that's often compounded by prejudices and misunderstandings concerning mental health. I've always thought having a mental health problem or condition is much harder than a physical condition or disorder, where people can see something's wrong with your body. But if something's wrong with your brain, it's not so easy to see. So people don't often have a lot of sympathy or empathy. If something's compounded by something else, it just means it's made worse or it's worsened by other things. A prejudice is feeling a certain way towards someone, because you don't know any better. It's not good to be prejudiced towards people. Or having a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding just means you don't understand the situation. And so that can often lead to difficulties in a relationship, misunderstanding. Maybe you fought about something with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and you really didn't understand their point of view. That's having a misunderstanding. Sometimes you just need to sit down and talk very directly about what's going on and be patient and kind and figure something else out. Concerning just means about something. So you could have a misunderstanding regarding something. We'll often use that word instead. Or about something or concerning. Those are all very similar words. They're synonyms.
Right, so if you're going to university and you discover that your roommate is acting strange, you might think, wow, this person's crazy. I don't want to be roommates with this person. But later on, of course, you have a conversation with this person and then you understand, oh, you've got bipolar disorder. Okay, I'll try to deal with that. I'll help you out when I can.
I'll be more patient.
Etc. So indeed, if you don't have that conversation, you might just think the person is crazy. They're out of their mind. They've lost all their marbles. So you may not be willing to help. So communication can help. And that brings us to the midway point in our lesson for today. Let's take a break right now and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, 我是派老师。今天讲解的是11月29号 Unit 15 Inside Bipolar Disorder Day 2第二天的课程。这个单元介绍的是躁郁症。第一天课程用第一人称的视角，让读者很快的掌握遭遇这么样的心理疾病会有哪些特征，而第二天的课文内容则告诉我们，患者在躁症或忧郁发作的时候会有哪些状况和行为。此外，也告诉我们如何协助躁郁症的患者。好，我们一起来看学习重点吧。请同学看到第一段第一个句子，在逗点之后 ，a mental health condition characterized by， 请同学把这个 characterize 画起来。这里要注意哦，这并不是主要动词。前面呢，其实省略了 which is， 就这样子的心理健康状况。那后面有个关系子句 which is， 这个 which is 省略了。characterize 其实是以什么为特点的意思。这边所讲的就是这种情绪剧烈波动呢，它就是这个心理状况、心理健康状况的特点。好 ，mood swings， 那就是我们讲的情绪剧烈的波动。再来，请同学看到第二个句子。第二个句子有两个地方要特别注意的。首先是 so that 这个句型，如此的怎么样，以至于。好 ，so 后面加形容词 intense，intense 这里的意思就是跟强度有关的， 这种情绪波动是非常强烈的。后面就是 that 后面这么强烈会发生什么状况啊？这些情绪的波动会 interfere with， 其实就是阻碍。这里倒不是干预，而是阻碍的意思，会让一个人呢没有办法好好的过日子。好，再来，请同学看到第3个句子。第3个句子呢，要抓对重点，就是我们发现躁郁症明确的成因，其实呢大家还不是非常的了解。再来，请同学看到的是第4个句子。第4个句子和第3个句子请一起看。在这里老师要提醒大家，我们其实考试当中常会看到阅读测验这个题型，应该说一定有这个题型，特别是大考。请同学要特别注意文章作者所做的2个名词的比较，通常都会出考题，而且常常不止一题。那在 but、however 这一类转折词之后出现的句子更要特别注意。就像这里作者清楚地指出，常常有人把躁郁症和忧郁症搞混了。不过这2者最大的差别就在于，躁郁症患者他会有躁症出现的状况，而忧郁症的患者是没有的。好，所以请同学告诉我，老师是根据句子的哪个部分来这样子说呢？就是在逗点 but 后面。But the presence of manic episodes helps distinguish between the two. 所以最主要就看有没有躁症，我们就知道这到底是躁郁症还是忧郁症。再来，请同学看到第2段的第1个句子。第1个句子有一个动词 compounded by， 这个 compound 这里是动词的用法，请同学特别注意的就是在 challenge 之后的这个 that， 它是关系代名词 that 和 is 的缩写。那这个 compounded 它其实就是常常就是说让什么东西让什么状况更加的恶化。所以这句话的意思是在说明罹患躁郁症本来在社交生活上就是很独特的挑战了。那再加上社会大众对心理健康的偏见和误解，挑战就变得更加艰巨。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. It's day 2 of our health unit. We're talking about a mental condition called bipolar disorder and trying to understand what it's like, how you can help someone in your life who might be struggling with this or dealing with this, how we can make things better for that person and not worse. A lot of it is just being patient and understanding the condition itself. So I love it when we go over things like this so that it can educate people out there who haven't experienced it themselves. I have, so I kind of already know what people go through and how you can help that person.
Indeed. So, of course, you want to reduce misunderstandings and you want to communicate and get rid of those prejudices. And during manic phases, an individual may come across as overly lively or enthusiastic and give the impression of being out of control or prone to sudden changes, which can lead to strained relationships or other career issues. So if a person suffering from bipolar disorder has a manic phase and then another person meets this person and they don't know about this condition, well, that person, the manic person, the bipolar person, may come across or may seem as being overly lively. They're extremely excited, they're worked up, and they're way over enthusiastic about stuff, and that can give you this impression that this person is out of control or prone to sudden changes. If you're prone to something, you just have that tendency. You seem to do that more often than other people. and these sudden changes can lead to strained relationships and other career issues. So if something's strained, of course, there's some kind of problem going on, and we hear about this all the time, like a relationship between a child and his or her parent may be strained. They don't agree on the kid's career choice, and the kid doesn't do what the parents want, and the kid thinks the parents don't understand, so they don't really talk to each other, so they have a strained relationship. It's a relationship with some problems.
You'll often hear that too, especially parents of teenagers. Or anytime parents have a child who is doing something they don't agree with, then that relationship can be strained, where you don't trust each other, you don't want to hear each other, you don't like each other sometimes, even as family members, and you don't want to be around each other. Sometimes you can have a coworker where you have a strained relationship and you try to avoid each other. Yeah, it can be kind of tense, that's for sure. I wanted to mention when someone is going through one of these manic episodes, you can often see them or hear them come up with these really crazy ideas that are unrealistic, they're impractical, that would never work, but you have to handle it right. Because if you say things like that to them, they get very upset. Because it seems very... It seems likely and a good idea to them. They don't see that it's impractical or unrealistic. So, again, you have to be patient and try to work through it, try to have a discussion. Sometimes it's even hard to have a discussion with them when they're in a manic episode. Now, what's the flip side? When you see that phrase on the flip side, or contrary to that, or contrary to this, it just means the opposite. So if you flip a coin, one side is heads, one is tails. The flip side is just the opposite of a situation.
This term comes from the old 45 records. Some of you may know what those are. It was a record that had a song on one side and a song on the other side.
Just one, yeah.
Right, so if you wanted to hear the other song, it was the flip side. You had to turn the record over on the record player, and then you could hear that song. So yeah, you could also say on one hand or on the other hand.
True.
So we're talking about the manic phase, and now we're talking about depressive episodes. So on the flip side, on the opposite here, on the other extreme, depressive episodes can be misinterpreted or misunderstood as a lack of will, which can invite unfair judgment and social isolation. So if somebody's going through a depressive episode and they try to talk to a normal person, that person may think, oh, you're just a lazy person. You're a good-for-nothing bum. You have a lack of will. And, of course, that will invite unfair judgment, like which I just did there. You're useless, you're a bum, or whatever. That's unfair, and that may lead to social isolation. Nobody will want to talk to you, or nobody will want to be friends with you.
Yeah, sometimes people who don't understand what it feels like to have clinical depression just thinks, oh, come on, buck up. Come on, get out of bed, get going. Oh, you just need to have a better attitude. Those kind of comments aren't helpful to people. Yeah. My mom and dad had that phrase growing up. Oh, you lazy bum, get out of bed. And we were lazy, actually. None of us had an excuse. But yeah, don't misinterpret what you're seeing as someone who's just lazy or they're not very proactive, they're not hard workers, things like that. There's an unpredictable means you can't predict it. It's hard to know what's coming next. There's a rhythm that's unpredictable to the mood shifts that they experience. And this also presents difficulties in planning life events. Yeah, how do you plan, a marriage if you don't know if that's going to be a good time for you or not? Or maintaining regular commitments. Yeah, maybe have a weekly dinner with a group of friends and one of the pals that you have, experiences bipolar disorder and, misses out on things because they're just not feeling good that week. Well, be patient. It makes social adaptation a complicated task. Social adaptation is just getting along socially with people, whether they're friends or co-workers or family members. If you have bipolar disorder, sometimes it's just hard to have good relationships where people understand what you're dealing with.
Yeah, it could be very complicated. It's complex. It involves all sorts of things. It's very difficult to straighten out. And here in the final paragraph, it says, if you want to help someone with bipolar disorder, it's important to approach the situation with an open mind, patience, and empathy. So you might know someone who does have bipolar disorder. So it's important that you handle this situation by having an open mind. Okay, don't have prejudice and judgments and things like that. And you also have to have patience, and you also have to have empathy. Try to put yourself in that person's shoes.
Right.
Try to imagine what it's like for them.
And here's another piece of advice. Take the initiative to learn about the disorder to better comprehend their experiences. Ask them to talk to you about it. That also helps. If you take the initiative, you take the first step in doing something. Bosses love people who have initiative or who take the initiative. They don't wait to be told what to do. They see a problem and they go and try to fix it. That's a great employee to have. Be there to provide emotional support. Foster open dialogue. If you foster something, you encourage it. So you want to encourage people to be honest with you, to tell you their real feelings. Don't be the kind of friend where people have to hide things from you. Be open and patient, and assist in managing their health by encouraging compliance with regular routines and treatment plans, whatever their doctor's trying to help them do to overcome or kind of get a more of a balance in their lives. If you encourage compliance, compliance is doing what you're told to do. So if you comply, that's the verb, comply, and compliance is just the state of complying or doing what you're asked to do or told to do. And that can help them, keep their regular routines intact and also help with their treatment.
Right, so if they suffer from this, make sure that they take their medicine and they do what they're supposed to do. And your understanding and reassurance can help sufferers feel less isolated. Yes, indeed, you need to have that understanding and you need to have that reassurance, which basically means you're telling them that you understand the situation. They don't need to worry and they don't need to have any doubts about you. And therefore, the sufferers will feel less isolated. I'm not all by myself here. I actually have friends who are concerned about me and they understand. They don't think I'm crazy. So remember, people with bipolar disorder can lead meaningful lives, and each small act of support can make a significant impact. So indeed, maybe not all of us know someone with bipolar disorder, but if you do encounter someone who has it, at least you should try to understand it and make their lives meaningful, even though they struggle with that.
Yeah, and if you do know someone in your life currently, always be there. This isn't a reason to discontinue that friendship. Be a good friend. Try to be warm and open with them, and it'll make their life easier. Remember, they're dealing with a more difficult challenge than you are having to deal with them. So try to be a good friend, a good family member. Right now, we're going to listen one more time to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back to say goodbye.
好，请看到第二段的第二个句子 ，come across as， 意思是看起来或者给人什么样的印象，相当于 appear 或 seem。这句话的意思是，躁郁症患者在躁期会让别人觉得太活泼热情，而给别人失控或者容易突然改变的印象。再来，请同学要注意到的是，这个 prone to 其实就是 prone to 就是容易怎么样的意思，而后面的这个 which 就在指前面的这些状况，就会让人有什么样的印象，觉得你这个人容易失控或者很容易改变。那这件事情会怎么样呢？导致人际关系紧张 strained 在这里呢是形容词用，那就等于 tense， 人际关系会相当的紧张。再来，请同学看到第四个句子。第四个句子提到，躁郁症患者情绪波动没有可以预测的节奏，因此生活上会有很多困难，包括很难做人生大小事的规划，或者 maintaining regular commitments。那意思是，遵守定期的承诺可能是很大的挑战。什么样算是 regular commitments？ 比方说出席工作会议。或者规律的运动等等，因为患者的情绪波动会造成阻碍， 他们可能会太沮丧或没有动力，就没有办法参加这种例行性的会议了。好，最后我们看到第3段的第2个句子，开头的这个动词片语非常重要 ，take the initiative to， 那就是主动。那我们如果身边有躁郁症的患者，我们应该要主动的去了解这个疾病，那进一步的去帮助他们。好，那最后请看到第5个句子，其实要记住，有躁郁症的患者，他们还是有办法过着非常有意义的生活。请同学看到过着什么样的生活，我们说 lead meaningful lives。好，以上就是我们针对这篇课文第2天的内容所做的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
That's it for today. Thanks so much for joining us, and please join us again next time. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
See ya.